the art of making places for people, a teaching experience with community engagement for undergraduate architecture students. From Assistant Professor Widiyani. She's an assistant professor in architecture design program at the Institute Technology Bandung, Indonesia. Her research brings people and places together. Her current research focuses on the quality of life in the cities, shopping behavior, and daily routine change during COVID-19. The second presenter is Dr. Christina Gantini. She's a lecturer at the same universities and also the member of Architectural History, Theory and Criticism Research Group at the School of Architecture and Planning and Policy Development. So please welcome.
Thank you, Professor Bunan. Christina Gantini and I would like to present our experiences from our class. So this is our idea. The first thing that pop up on our minds is that students right now needs to have a kind of experiences with by engaging with the community. But to highlight this, that the community that we meant is not the only marginal community or informality, but we also want to make our student engage with a community, like, for example, pedestrian community, cyclist, this difabel community, etc., and so on. So this is our teaching experiences with the art of making places for people. As you know, in Indonesia, placemaking is a trend now because we have a lot of places that after the COVID, places that is open place that people mingle and gather together there. And since then it's quite fancy. That's why we end up with the course name Placemaking and Social Experiment. This is quite new. We started during the pandemic, and it's an elective course for third and fourth year undergraduate students in any fields. It's only 2 credits, and this is in our school. It's like 14 times of lecture and with 2 tests. And our mode of course is online lecture. At that time, we hope that the pandemic will end up soon. So we think, yeah, we can do offline activity, or perhaps half online lecture and the other half semester will be offline. So our objective is actually make students aware with issues that affecting our built environment. And due to the fact that people like to say this is a placemaking if a place has activity or has an element of public spaces, for example, bench and then garbage bin, and then they will call it as a placemaking, or even commercial if they already, students of architecture already pre-arrange the layout and then put some rooms for tenants, then they will say this is a placemaking, but actually it's not. Then we want to let them know the fundamentals of creating placemaking from the theory, and then to make this exercise and access it to a context. We know that in placemaking without action is nonsense, so we want them to participate in implementation. And in addition to this, as we want after the graduation, our students also able to promote themselves as a placemaker, and perhaps these days they can also ask ask or get funding from the CSR or the government, then we let them know how to propose an activity for funding. And our course structure has 3 stages: preparation, this is the lecture session, and then action, while students will arrange and make a, first they make a observation and analysis, and then arrange the activity, and then plan the strategy, and then implementation. And then the last stage is the evaluation, where they will present their revising proposal regarding to self-critics from their implementation or social experiment, and then also the assessment. So in preparation stages, we in a preparation stage, we have 2 times 50 minutes lecture. It is like 8 sessions online. This is what we deliver, like theory of placemaking, human-centered design, marketing and branding, participatory design, communication skills, best practices of placemaking, and also proposal writing. And of course, during the lecture, we also give them a small task, small assignment, quizzes, and sometimes discussion. And the second stage is action, where we get 2 times 50 minutes class of discussion. It was 5 sessions online. We encourage or we facilitate them to design a social experiment. On this presentation, I will tell you the users is pedestrian. So we determine first that students should be able to engage with the pedestrian or cyclist community, and then at last they choose the pedestrian. And then what they do is observe, define, plan strategy, and experiment. And this is what they will get during this stage, that it will include literature of study about what is a pedestrian, how they behave, or what is normally has been done for the pedestrian, what from the papers or from the books. And in this stage, they will use the analytical and logical thinking. And then they will define the issue of the users. And then we ask them to determine what is the issue of the placemaking, and then what is the success, what criteria they can say that their social experiment is successful. And then they will plan the activity. It's including create an organization between themselves, and then analyzing the context and using human-centered. And this needs, of course, soft skills, teamwork, initiation, and tactical skills on the implementation. And then a social experiment, they also need to have ability to make critics for themselves and synthesis. But what about eventually that the pandemic still existed? So we should reshape a bit with our program. So we do the observe discovery by asking them to make analysis using the human-centered. We ask them to propose ideas. These are 3 ideas, sample of ideas that they gave to us. So first, they also wanted with walking, they want to get a tour on in an old city in Jakarta by using the app. And then they also create a bicycle path, and the other create a walking path. And then we have a discussion with all of the students and merge into one idea. And this is during the discussion, they use Google Meet and Discord line. At that time, Zoom is not really developed like today's. And then they also use social media. So interestingly, that during this session, students are really active and also want to show their ideas. And then with the teamwork, they plan to have a site. And then they check from the internet, from the social media, what is inside. And then after they have a kind of determination for the context, we started to have interview and survey. We think that it's impossible to, if students only sitting online, then we provide them to have interview and survey by hybrid. And Christina Gantini will show us this video. Would you please?
Okay, thank you, Widdy.
So this is what we meant by hybrid, by using observation, interview, online and offline.
Sorry, I think we don't see your screen now.
Yeah.
So could you
Okay, wait a minute.
Could you? Mm-hmm.
I have to screen share. I cannot screen share.
You can. Oh.
Okay, right now.
Okay.
Okay, this is a short video. Ibu Wide and I, as lecturers, and along with Yemima as class assistant, and also all our students are at the Zoom meeting. While there are 2 students carrying cell phones working at the location to be surveyed, namely Cihapit Market. The quality of the video, I think, is not very good, but it is helpful enough to explain the market situation that will be used as a place for social experiment. This is the inner situation of the Cihapit local market during the pandemic. Students interview several people at the location, including fruit vendor who had been selling there for a long time, and also visit some places that have historical value for the local community, such as all bookstores, and also Bu RH food stall, and many. Bu RH said, there are so many old and legendary places here, including her grandmother's food stall, which was the place to eat when young Sukarno, who was the first president in Indonesia, used to come and visit when he was a student. Students also interview market officials, especially to ask about permits and other rules if they are going to carry out social experiment activities in the market. Okay. At the end of the survey, using Zoom and cell phones used by students, Ibu Widdy gave final direction on what students should pay attention to and a little review of today's activities.
Okay. Thank you.
stop share.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank
Ruby.
you, Christina. So I would continue my presentation. So after the interview and survey, and because there are two students, one is who interviewed, and then the other one captured with their mobile phone, and then the second student able to receive all the chat questions that students who were online ask. So after the interview and survey, they define the statement that the issue is the majority of their peers, which is the young generation, had never visited the wet market. So the purpose of the social experiment here is to expose the younger generation to a traditional market and introduce them to placemaking practices that is happen in wet market Kihapit. They name the event is a traditional market walk colored glass because it has a different point of view and different color of event on the site. The key of success that students mention is if participants ask questions and follow actively the event. Sometimes we give the key of success is it's only very small or easy because at least on our perspective, at least they already do and knows how to do it well. So this is the plan strategy. They have to make a branding and marketing and publish and ask participants through the social media. While they make a poster, for example, they also make a comparison from other events that held by our department. So they want to check. And then they also advertise it through Instagram. And then when they want to create the walking tour, they also have to make a plan strategy by clustering which places to be visited, why, and then they also make a kind of search, a kind of information searching, and then they make it on a QR code. And then the other part, of the organization also create how they can achieve that the participants will be actively or asking questions. So they make a kind of questionnaire. It's not really a questionnaire, but they make a booklet with some questions and some games and with crosswords, and also put a poster on the wall, while participants can give smile or sad face if the regarding to the place.
Okay,
So
and there are 3 minutes left for your presentation.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And then with the experiment, they have, after the advertising the event, they also posted the QR code and managing 10 students and it is managed by 10 students out of 35 on the field due to the pandemic, because some of them were still stay at their hometown. And then they also creating alternative paths if something is happened, and preparing walking tour kits and documentation. This is how during the experiment, implementation of social experiment. So they walk and talk and put some notes on regarding to the places, whether the participant counted it as a placemaking or not, and why. And then students who were still at their hometown or their work online make a kind of tour by via online, from the Google Earth, they make a touring
Oh, I believe we may have lost her.
Okay. So Christina, you still there?
tour daring
Okay.
from Bitly. So yes, one page. Sorry.
Yes,
I
you
think
can.
connection broke up just now.
Sorry.
Better you turn off your camera, Bu Widi.
Okay, wait a moment. I will stop share. Okay, I will share. Okay. So after that, we find that on our evaluation, the power of social media, it's very easy to get participants, but however, it's difficult to touch with stakeholders. And although the walking tour was successful in achieving its goals that the participants actively engage, it's difficult to make it regular after the social experiment. And this is not achieving the placemaking theory. And as we know, the Bitly, they use the tour, free tour from Google Earth, only 14 days. And it seems that there are still participants who followed the tour via online after the social experiment. Here's the fact. And then the evaluation is quite good, although from the students complain that this is too fast and they cannot plan the social experiment carefully because of the limitation of the time. But they really happy to have opportunity to do implementation, researching, talking with people. And then for the conclusion and strategies for post-pandemic, that we know that community engagement hard to do in a regular class because students may also have to work from assignment from other classes. And to make it practicable, we should make a target consumers or users really pretty small, and the context we should perhaps help them to determine or to give them the information in the beginning. And we noticed that observation and survey are possible by hybrid as long as the observers understand the objectives. So we should send a good observers. And I think this is our last slide, and you can also see our works at the Instagram placemaking.id. Thank you.